Do, 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 do. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a very special episode of the Burnout Brighter podcast. My name's Matt. I'll be your host for this evening's events. This is episode 137. I'm joined as well recently as always, Mr. Matt Sealing himself. Lou, what's going on, my friend? How you doing?
What's up, folks? Glad to be here. Yeah, just, gaming, listening to them tunes. Yeah, same old, really. Living that
That
gamer life.
hell yeah, dude! And you dropped a new single recently, which is fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's going really well. Getting on some good playlists. It was a blast to make, and glad it's finally out now. So yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. I really enjoyed it. Everybody, make sure you go check it out. Mad Seedling on Spotify or the YouTube or any of the other major places because it sounds fantastic. And I'm going to plug it first because it's awesome and everybody should go listen to that. So go peep that. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about Lou's gaming history on top of like a whole metric ton of news, including PlayStation Plus pricing, God of War, Splatoon, ads in games. There's a whole whack of news that we're going to be going through today. So strap in because it's going to be one hell of a ride. But before we do any of that, make sure you guys subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube and seeing our lovely faces. Hit that like button, hit that bell button so you know when stuff goes live. We're going to have a few reviews coming at you very, very soon. So get excited for that. If you're listening to us and you have not yet, hit us with that 5 stars on whatever platform you're using. Please do. Helps the show grow, helps new people find the show. So make sure you do that, whether on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your version of like follow up, subscribe is on that thing, and then whatever rating system is there, please hit us with it. And then like once a year we remember about it and actually go in and take a look at the reviews. So who knows, that may be coming up soon. So just please do that. We appreciate it very, very much. But now, Lou, let's kick off the episode. What's new? What's been going on? What have you been up to?
Yeah. So I got a new iPad.
Nice.
Well, actually, I got a iPad. I'm not typically a tablet person. But I wanted to pick one up for a couple of reasons. Number one, for music, for live performance.
Okay.
So there's this great app called Tornado, and it's on the App Store. It's fantastic effects processing app where
Okay.
you feed sound, you feed your songs into it, and then you can mess with the sound. You can add some delays, some reverb, some real cool audio effects. So wanted to add that to my arsenal for live performances, and it's only on the iPad. So picked one up there. I picked up a ninth generation iPad, just a straight up, not the Air, not the the mini, just a straight up iPad.
So many variations of it nowadays. What generation are they even on now? Like
I
what's
think
like ninth is
ninth
like the
is
newest one?
Yeah, it came out
Dang,
near the
nice.
end of last year.
Okay.
And it was the sweet spot between like good processor, good support for after, right? Yeah, you can get the Pro, which is really expensive, but also really, really nice. But no, the regular iPad was the one for me. So I picked one of those up on
Hell yeah.
Kijiji. I always
Nice.
recommend picking up used if you can, skip out on the wait and skip out on some, having to pay extra. So
Yeah.
yeah, so picked up the iPad and then also playing Hearthstone. iPad is a
Nice.
great platform for Hearthstone. A lot of fun just hanging out, even when I'm at work, playing a few games. So that's basically been what I've been up to. Just working on music, working on tunes, gaming, of course, still rating regularly on WoW,
Nice.
playing MLB The Show.
Hearing good
And then,
things.
yeah, it's great. I again playing on the Switch. And yeah, that's been going great. And one other thing I've been getting into is Mario Baseball.
Okay.
There's been a couple of these games that have come out. The first one came out in '05. It's called
Uh-huh.
Mario Superstar Baseball, and it was on the GameCube.
GameCube, right? Yeah.
Fantastic game. It's really deep and it lacks features sort of in the base
Mhm.
game, but through emulation, you can do net play with people online. There's a great community around it, and there's a great YouTube channel where they have these tournaments every year, sort of like the World Championship of Mario Baseball. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so just been diving into the world of Mario Baseball. Then there was another one that came out on the Wii called Mario Superstar Sluggers, which is
Yeah.
also great. And there's this other YouTuber named his channel is called Chiz Plays, and
Okay.
he plays a lot of Mario Baseball. And I've never seen a YouTuber who screams as much as this guy. He screams probably 90% of the time, but it's really
Perfect.
entertaining. So yeah, I've been playing some of that on my computer through emulation. I really
Uh-huh.
want to pick up a GameCube actually. We'll talk about the GameCube later on, but yeah, I want to pick up a GameCube just for this game. But yeah, that's basically it. What's going on with you?
Okay, hold on. Let's backtrack a bit. Okay, number one,
Sure. Yeah.
iPad. Do you ever
Yeah.
see this being like a full scale replacement to music production? Like, do you see yourself possibly using this kind of like from the ground up, or is this more of like a supplementary support tool?
Supplementary support tool, and I'll
Mhm.
tell you why. Um, the iPad, so Apple, anyone who's really into sort of tech or the landscape of tech, especially when it comes to Apple, you'll notice a couple of things. iPad used to run on iOS, and now it runs on iPad OS.
Oh, they
And they did,
changed it.
yeah, and they did that because they wanted to start introducing some more full-fledged, full capability, full power applications to the iPad,
Okay.
to sort of bring it up to par with the Mac, but it'll never be up to par with the Mac, and I think it's
Okay.
because they don't wanna cannibalize their Mac sales. The
Right.
MacBook Pro, especially the generation that just came out at the end of last year, is spectacular, and that's what I use to make my music on is Studio
Okay.
One on a Mac. Now, Studio One's not even available on the iPad. In terms of music
Mm.
production software, the iPad really only has like GarageBand, and I think that's it. Really, like it's, and they do that on purpose because they could totally run these programs on an iPad.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
got the Bionic chip. The new ones have the M1 chip, but I don't think they'll ever do that just simply because it's going to cannibalize their Mac
Mm.
Studio, Mac Mini sales, right? So unfortunately, it's really just in terms of making music. I feel like, in my opinion, it's just a cool, fun little tool to mess around with. But to supplement your music making, or if you can use it as a second screen now, if you have a Mac,
Hell
stuff
yeah.
like that, it's great. And I know a lot of musicians use it for an app called Fourscore, which is a music sheet app. So you can store all of your music sheets on there and have it on your stand, and sort of use that as your sort of lead sheet when you're performing.
Right.
So yeah, so in short, no, I don't think it's a really from the ground up that kind of tool.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it will be one day, but I feel like they want to keep those powerful applications with the Mac. Another big one is Final Cut. It's not on the iPad. You can only get iMovie.
Really?
Yeah, you can only get iMovie, and again, it's not like it can't run it because the new iPads
Right.
have the M1 chip. So yeah, I
Beefy
think it's just
boys.
because, oh, big, yeah, those are really beefy chips, absolutely. And I think it's because they don't want to cannibalize their Mac sales, which good sales strategy, but overall, I feel like the app that what the iPad really excels in is if you're an artist, because there's
Right.
great apps on there for writing with the pencil and all that. The new iPad Pro has a great response to it when you're drawing, and
Mhm.
a friend of mine is an illustrator, and she uses that a lot for illustration. So super cool stuff, but for music, it's just not there.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad that you're enjoying it even as a supplementary tool. Have you hopped in on what is it, Apple Games, the subscription service with them yet? Because I know Destiny's on it and she really enjoys it because of the
really.
quality of the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least she was last we spoke about it. Are you thinking about it, or is that more again just like a Hearthstone simple stuff?
Yeah, I was looking at some games to play, like, one of those listicles about what's
Yeah,
best
yeah.
games on the iPad. And Hearthstone I love Hearthstone, and it plays great on the iPad. So that's really what's been taking my gaming time on the iPad.
Nice.
In terms of the other games on there, it's like a lot of the same stuff that you'd find on mobile. Monument
Fair.
Valley is always on these lists. I'm not sure
Yeah, yeah.
if you've played that, but it's a great puzzle game. But no, I haven't subscribed to the Apple Arcade. I know they've got some cool
That's it.
exclusives,
Mhm.
but no, I haven't dived into that one yet.
Fair enough. Nice, dude. That sounds awesome. And last thing before we'll hop over to me,
Sure.
Mario Baseball, was this spurred just because of the YouTube content you're on, or is this like, or just so you wake up one morning and like a cold sweat, being like, I need to play Mario Baseball?
So I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport. We've just come
Okay.
into the new season, and I watch a lot of YouTube baseball content. So I love
Okay.
Secret Base. I love Foolish Baseball. And Foolish Baseball had a video on Super Mario Baseball where he compared some of the Mario characters to their real life equivalents, which was really
Okay.
cool. Who
Interesting.
would who would Waluigi best be paralleled with in real life, for instance, right? Yeah, I saw that video and I discovered this cool community that surrounds this game series, and really the GameCube game seems to be the one. And yeah, I've just been like, I've like, how have I never heard of this? I had a GameCube at the time. I've always been into baseball, but never. It just sort of hit me at the right time, you know. So it was really the foolish baseball video that got me into it.
That's so funny. It's so interesting. Like I never would have even considered a community around a 2005 era Mario baseball title. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Oh,
just
yeah.
never would have been thought about it. But again, these communities sprout up around some of these games and it's just like, dang. Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Tell me
Uh,
about what's going on with you. How's your week been?
Yeah, I got super sick last week, which wasn't fun, but I'm on the mend now. So I had not as much timing for gaming last week as I would have liked, but I've spent some more time this week. Continuing my journey through Ghostwire Tokyo, playing that on the Steam Deck. It took some finagling to get it running on the Steam Deck because there are
Hmm.
some issues with it, specifically with like these like persistent black walls that you can hit that just literally like it won't load, nothing will happen. But there are workarounds for all of it, so it just takes a bit of digging, and that's
Hmm.
kind of like my story with the Steam Deck so far is that there's a lot you can do with it, and both like with emulation, and playing games on it, and even getting like some window games running. But there's a lot of messing with it, and sadly, I messed up in my sickness. I left the Steam Deck sitting like beside my pillow almost on the
Okay.
bed because I was like bet I couldn't move, man. I was like,
Yeah.
this is all I can play. I couldn't even bring myself to like look at the TV, which is just on the other side of the room. I
Yeah.
left it there, and my dog Lilo came over and she like cuddled up to me, and we fell asleep. And I woke up and went like was starting to get upstairs to like go get some water, and she kind of like frantically moved and she smacked the Steam Deck
Oh.
right off the bed, and it
Oh.
like fell perfectly in between like the bed and like the bedside table, and
Yeah.
it fucking cracked
Oh
one
no.
like the base around one of the sticks, and the stick just got stuck. And like literally an hour before, I had been on Reddit and I saw the same thing happen to someone's Steam Deck on Reddit. I was like, that sucks. Hope that never happens to me. I'm
Yeah.
still gonna leave this fucking thing right beside me on the bed as I didn't expect anything to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I went on a journey, my friend. Let me tell you, I was like messaging this guy. Like I went back to like r/slash Steam Deck, and he's like, "This is what I did." But like his like if you like the thumbsticks, like the thumbstick, the basically the gray circular insert that kind of holds it in place, his
Mhm.
that popped out. For me,
Mhm.
this thing got like jammed sideways and like nothing, like I kept trying to push it and it just wouldn't move. So I did two
Yeah.
things. I reached out to Steam support, and very graciously I'm going to be sending it back to them. They're going to be sending me a new one. So that's
Wow.
like wonderful, like super, super awesome of them. In the meantime, I was kind of like, let me see if I can fix this myself, right? I looked like a bunch of videos, looked into it. Apparently, opening the thing didn't void the warranty or anything. So I was like, let me just see if I can just get it back on. So like I
Mhm.
spent like half an hour, like basically just sitting there staring at it, being like, am I really going to open it? I'm like, I love tech, but like I'm not techie like that. Like
Yeah.
I was anxious, unscrewed it, popped that bad boy open, like moved some stuff around, got the actual like joystick module out, and I
Mhm.
realized at that point that what had happened is that there's like the joystick like block with like the stick that comes out that's essentially like the motor and for the haptics and for the feedback.
Yeah.
That stick got like dislodged from the rest of the joystick, so it popped out of its
Ooh.
socket. So I was able
Mhm.
to put it back on, and like it works now. It's just a little looser than I'd like to
Right.
be. And like I said, like the casing around it is still slightly cracked. So I'm still gonna send it in to get a return.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, like they were super awesome about it. Like I sent them pictures, explain. I was totally honest. I'm like, hey, I was stupid. Like I realize this is my fault. Like I'm not gonna try and dress this up. And they were like, yeah, don't worry. Like we'll we'll get you we'll get you sorted. So shout out to Steam for being awesome in that
Wow.
respect.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Super cool. So I've been playing a bunch more of Ollie World. Shout out to those developers for sending us a code for that. It's been a lot of fun. I love skateboard culture, and this like perfectly encapsulates a lot of that absolute ridiculousness.
Mhm.
Like there's like it's a platforming skateboarding game for anybody who's like not familiar with Ollie Ollie. And like just the levels are so incredibly designed. It's so much fun. They really do like add stuff in very slowly, which then lets you go back and like hit the high scores and do some of the side quests that they even have and side challenges through the levels like much more easily. Like it was something as simple like grabs, like like a grab move. You don't get to like the third world, which is like cool because it's just like I really took my time getting to know how to orient myself through this game. And like there's so much so much accessibility options. There's so much diversity in this game. There's so much that your skater could look however you want. And at the same time, you have like there's a side quest where like if you go down a certain path through one of the levels, you'll meet this giant jacked seagull with like
Yeah.
arms and legs that likes to work out at the beach, and he takes you to his like secret training grounds in like a side quest. And it's just like it's absolutely wild, but it's a ton of fun. It's just like it's one of the best platformers I played in years. Like it's just so
Wow.
smooth, so much fun.
Yeah.
Um, Towards the end of Dying Light 2, we'll have a review for that and Ollie Wild World hopefully this week. I'm in like the last couple missions. I'm basically like forcing myself to finish it at this point because like
Mm.
I want to see it through because there are parts of it that are really fun, but like I've hit like a bunch of technical issues. Like I've had to like
Wow.
reload certain missions multiple times and like travel back across the city because like the fast travel system is really weird.
Right.
Because like I'd get to the person I need to talk to and they'd be like, you can't interact with them. There's enemies around, and it's like there's nobody remotely close to them. And it's just like
Jeez.
there's just a bunch of like technical issues like that. And the writing is still like too edgy. It's like if 14-year-old Matt wrote it. Like there's just a bunch of dick jokes and swearing that just don't really feel like necessary. Like they don't do anything to make it
Yeah.
entertaining, and it's just like yeah, and it's like it's a little predictable, and like the villain is like awful. Like he's just like evil for the sake of being evil. Like it's
Mm.
just when the game clicks and you're parkouring across the rooftops, like flying through enemies, and like it's a lot of fun. But then like I feel like I keep running into a wall over and over again with this game, and it's just like it's fun enough that I want to see it through, but like
Yeah.
definitely like wait for this to go on sale. I would not tell you to buy this at full price. Like apparently it was more broken when it came out, and like with the patches to get to the game where it is now.
Yeah.
Again, like it's playable. Like there's nothing that's really gonna break the game, but there were a significant amount of issues that like I would lose like half an hour's worth of progress, just because of hitches or glitches. Um,
Jeez.
so so I'm almost on that, and then I've become obsessed with a show called Central Park. Have you ever heard of Central Park, Lou?
No, I haven't actually. No.
So it's an Apple Plus show or an Apple TV show. I can never remember the naming conventions of all these friggin' streaming platforms now that there are.
Yeah.
But it's made by the same team who does Bob's Burgers. So like if
Oh,
you're into
okay.
Bob's Burgers, like
Yeah.
the animation style is like identical. This one is much more of a musical. Like there are like
Hmm.
2 to 3 to 4 songs per episode. But
Wow.
like what boggles my mind is like the quality of the music in these shows. Like
Mhm.
and like in both in Bob's Burgers and in this one. Like the melodies, the songwriting, the rhyming structures, like it's incredibly put together. You can tell
Yeah.
they have some like really knowledgeable people on their team.
Mhm.
But like I like this one a lot because like I just finished the second season and there's an actual like through line that like connects all the episodes together. While Bob's Burgers is very much like episode to episode, and this one you could pick
Yeah.
up a random episode and you'll understand what's going on enough because they do a good job of kind of like reestablishing the plot.
Right.
But there's like an actual through line to the episodes, and it gets kind of serious at points, and it's like it's beautifully done. It's a lot of fun. So like if you're looking for a great new animated show, Central Park is really 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 good.
Yeah. I
um
I love I love obviously love music, but I really love musical comedy.
yeah,
And Flight of the Concords is one of my favorite shows.
nice.
So yeah, no, I should check that out. Absolutely. Sounds great.
You should. It's so well written, and like the music is fantastic. Like and like not every song is a hit, but when you have like 3 to 4 songs in every episode, and like the first season is like I think 8 to 12 episodes, and the second season is something similar. Like
Yeah,
to be putting out that much music at like that a pace and keep it quality is like incredibly impressive. So like
totally.
it's like they hit like I don't know. I would say probably like 90% of the songs are like incredibly fantastically put together, like really good. So yeah, check out Central Park if you're curious at all. It's a lot of fun, and if you like Bob's Burgers, you'll love this. And as long as you love the musical side of Bob's Burgers, because this is much more musical heavy compared to, but like I love it. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. I'm excited to I'm excited to kind of finish the games that I have on the docket right now. And like I went through like a games calendar earlier and like just kind of looked at a list of like what's upcoming. And like I think the next
Mhm.
game that I'm excited for is like in June. So like I'm excited to have the next like month and a bit of like let's catch up on some stuff.
Yeah,
Like let's work through a bit of that backlog. So
yeah,
I'm excited to do that. But Lou, my friend,
yep,
we're gonna keep this episode rolling. We back in the day, way back in the day, we did like gaming history episodes for Darren, for myself, and for Destiny. And we figured now that you're part of the team, it would be nice to kind of we did part of it, on your guest episode a few months ago, but I'd love to dig in a little deeper and kind of go back and work our way up to the present. So let's take a step back. Let's go to Mini Lou,
sure.
a little Lou out of the womb a few years ago. Where did you start with gaming? Like where did like was it what was it what was the first console? Was it handheld? Like, where did you start?
Sure. Yeah. So, growing up, the first console I remember playing and having in the house was an NES. My parents
Nice.
had it when I was born. We had the basic games, Mario, Duck Hunt, that kind of thing, Castlevania. So I remember playing a lot. I remember playing a lot of Duck Hunt as a kid, as a
Nice.
very, very young child. Lots of Duck Hunt. I think you put a blaster in someone's hand, and no matter the age, I feel like they just get it. You know what I mean?
Right?
It's
I
just so intuitive, and that level of connection and the technology in that game was also really awesome, like how the light gun worked. And yeah, so played a lot of Duck Hunt. And now a great Reddit moment or thing that people always say on Reddit is if you plugged in a second controller, the other person can play as the ducks.
I did
I don't
not
know.
know that.
Yeah,
Right? Like, I did not
yeah,
know that at the time. We had one of those, like, I think it was just like those standalone, like, arcade Duck Hunt machines. You know what I mean? Where it's
yeah.
just like
Oh yeah,
you just buy the little thing and plug it into the TV. But
yeah.
that's awesome, dude. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, a lot of NES. And when I came to an age where I could really start remembering a lot,
Mhm.
the Super Nintendo had come out. I think the Super Nintendo launched in 90, was it 91? Yeah, I think it was 91 or 94, I want to say. But um yeah, I remember my cousins had the
91. You nailed it.
91,
91.
okay, 91. My cousins had the Super Nintendo. I remember playing a lot of Super Mario World. We had the Super Mario All-Stars where you could play the different games all on one
Nice.
cartridge, which was great. And Castlevania, a lot of Castlevania when I was young. I had older cousins, so they played a lot of those more mature games.
Mhm.
And Castlevania is great. Earthworm Jim, which is a bit of a cult
That's
classic.
a nice.
Yeah, I remember playing a lot of Earthworm Jim. And the one game that I specifically remember getting for my birthday was a Kirby Superstar on the Super Nintendo, which is a
Fantastic.
spectacular game. Even to this
Mhm.
day, it holds up. I remember playing it on emulation, and what a game that is. That maybe the first game I ever remember receiving as a gift and opening and being excited for. So yeah, Kirby Superstar, absolutely. Great, fantastic game. Now, I remember one morning, it was my birthday, and I woke up and this is like a core memory of mine. Waking up, going down the stairs, birthday balloons on the stair rail, and my mom had gotten me and set up for me an N64, a brand new Nintendo 64.
Wow.
What a
So you
gift, eh?
That's
What a
incredible. So
moment.
you really were like a Nintendo kid growing up. Like
I
that was where you
was.
lived. Nice.
Absolutely, I was. My cousins had the Genesis. I remember playing Sonic, Altered Beast, and all this stuff. But yeah, Nintendo is where I grew up. That's where yeah, that was the realm I grew up in for sure.
I have to ask then, was it like the OG N64 or was it one of like the colored variants? Like, were you walking down the stairs, turning the corner? Which N64 was it?
It was the black one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the classic black one, absolutely. And copy of Super Mario 64 in there, ready to go. And I remember enjoying it, but I was so young that if you recall Super Mario 64, when you enter the castle and you see in front of you this staircase going up to the star door where you fight the
Mhm.
first Bowser, if you don't have enough stars, he like Bowser laughs at you,
Yeah.
right? He gives that Bowser laugh, and the text comes up. But I was so young that Bowser laugh scared the crap out of me, and I remember being turned off of the game because of that. Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm
how
out.
young I
Yeah,
was.
forget it.
Yeah. So I remember that very, very vividly. But the N64 is where a lot of my first gaming memories with other people came in, playing multiplayer games, playing games after school at people's houses. And some of the classic games were some of those games that I really spent a lot of time with, right? GoldenEye, Diddy Kong
Yes.
Racing. Diddy Kong Racing is an amazing game, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Um, Perfect Dark, of course, required the expansion pack to play that game. Super awesome game, really sort of ahead of its time, and
Uh-huh.
felt like a strange. I don't want to say strange, but an more really mature game for the N64 audience.
Right.
Much more than Golden. Like 007, sure, there's all that stuff there, but like Perfect Dark had more of an edge to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was a game I remember playing a lot. And Killer Instinct, the arcade port for Killer Instinct,
Nice.
I remember playing that a lot. So yeah, N64. Yeah,
Were you a
played that.
big Smash kid? Were you a big Smash Bros kid?
I was, yeah, he had Smash as well. I remember the original commercial where they're going through the meadow and then they trip each other and they start fighting. Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. I remember going to the store to pick that up. Thanks for mentioning that. I absolutely I should have mentioned Super Smash. Of course, cultural
Yeah.
phenomenon at the time, right?
I remember so vividly, I feel like because we were a PlayStation family growing up, and that was for me when I saw that. I was like, "Mom, I need an N64. Mom, please." And she was always like at the time we were going to church every Sunday. My family grew up very Catholic,
Yeah,
and she was like, "I'm going to quiz you if you get like a certain number of things that like the pastor said, whatever the hell." And I remember getting it, and I'm being like, "We're going to Zellers
yeah,
now." And like I think Smash is like the earliest memories if I had of like the community aspect of video games of being
yeah,
like talk like I remember calling my friends being like, "Yo, guess who I just unlocked?" Because at the time
yeah,
you had no idea who was in the game, right? Like there was no,
yeah.
and it's like, "Oh, if you leave your N64 on for like 200 hours, you'll get Mewtwo." Or whatever the hell, like the ridiculous things that we had to like try and think about to be like, this is how
Yes.
you get these characters because you didn't really know at the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the Mewtwo thing, that's so funny you say that because obviously that was on Melee. And
Yeah.
I remember on Melee leaving my GameCube on all night on a stage in the hopes of getting Mewtwo.
Right?
And I didn't get it. I didn't get it that time. I can't remember what it is now, but you have to win or play so many matches. I think it is a
Yeah.
hundred matches or something, and you get Mewtwo. Someone's gonna know. If you remember, leave it in the comments below. But
For real.
um, that's too funny, man. Yeah, spectacular game, Smash. What a great series. I got to say, going back and playing the original N64 version of Smash, for me, the frame rate kills it for me now. I
I
It's
know.
so slow and stuttery. Melee on the GameCube was such an evolution, and that game still aged so well to this day. I
Mhm.
got to say,
Yeah, I'm still a
um,
Melee kid. That one's still my favorite, 100%.
yeah. Yeah, same here. And speaking of which, so I remember watching YTV as a kid, Canadian youth
Yes,
television,
yes.
um, and them talking about the new Nintendo console, the GameCube, and they were like, "It's going to cost this much yen," and I'm like, "Oh, how much is that in Canadian dollars?" I got to call my mom and tell her about it. So I ended up getting a GameCube for Christmas. I think it was Christmas 2001 or 2002. I got the GameCube with Super Smash Melee,
Nice.
and the GameCube is. I have a lot of memories of playing the GameCube, and obviously played a lot of Melee. Luigi was my character, and still when I play on Smash Ultimate, I still love playing Luigi. I know that he's like a D tier character or something, a C tier, but he's got some cool combos. And I love his up move where if you hit it just right, you get the special hit and they go
Yep.
flying. Yeah, spectacular. Love playing as Luigi. Of course, my full name is Luigi, so I identify with him in that regard. Yeah, so it was when was it? A couple years after the GameCube, I got an Xbox. It was a really
Okay.
nice gift from my dad, and I had a special edition Xbox. It was the
Nice.
platinum version, so it was see through.
The crystal
And
one? Is that are we
yeah,
thinking of the same one?
yeah, the crystal one, the crystal Xbox.
You know what's so funny? I and like I well, Darren's not here anymore, so it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna so I can tell the story. I have like a very because Al, friend of the show Al, had that one as well. And I just
Mhm.
remember all of us going to his house and Darren was like hugging it at one point, like sitting there being like, it's so beautiful. And like I have like that Xbox, like I always just remember Darren sitting there being like, I have to hug this thing. We're like, Darren, put the fucking thing down, man. Come on.
My precious. Yeah, he's
Exactly.
just, you
Exactly.
know, idolizing it. Hey, it was worth the idolatry. It was a really nice looking console, I gotta say.
Beautiful.
And it came with two games. I think it was two games. It came with Fable and it came with Crimson Skies. Two great games
Yes.
for the original Xbox. Fable really, that was really the first RPG that I was able to sink my teeth into and really get into when I was young.
Mhm.
I was always kind of timid about RPGs and shooters because there's so much control given to the player, right?
Yep.
And you've got a 3D world to explore, and that Fable was really the first one that I was able to explore and had my own, right? And yeah, so played a lot of Fable. A sports game, which was a very important sports game. Um, MVP Baseball 2005. It was the
Okay.
last baseball game that EA Sports made. And it's a spectacular game. And to this day, there's a community that surrounds this game. If you look on eBay, you can get memory cards that have updated rosters for
No
2022.
way.
Yes, yeah, it is considered one of the best sports games, and especially one of the best baseball games ever made. I'm not sure if I remember reading something about the license potentially being opened up again so that EA can make another one, but that was one of the that was the last MLB game they made. They made other ones that were college baseball games for a couple of
Mhm.
years after, but that was the last MLB one that they made, and it's a spectacular game. I've got it sitting right next to me here on my left with my PS2. I've got the rosters for 2016, 2017, 2018, and then I didn't buy them after that. They keep messaging me, but I just I haven't delved too much in the last few years. But spectacular game. I spent endless hours playing MVP Baseball '05.
Amazing.
Um, Another game for the GameCube was WrestleMania 19. I was a big wrestling fan when I was young, and that's a spectacular wrestling game. Was really into that one. Now I wanted switching gears here.
Mhm.
My stepdad was always into computers, and we
Okay.
always had computers connected to the internet growing up, and we played a lot of PC games. So I remember playing a lot of Diablo 2,
Nice.
tons of Diablo 2 growing up. I was probably much younger than the recommended age for that game, but I played a ton of that game. Some other PC games, StarCraft, obviously, Red Alert. It's one that people don't talk about a lot. Red Alert, it's an
Is that the
RTS
Mars
game.
shooter? No.
I think it's on Mars. Or no, sorry, no, it's not
Okay.
on Mars. It's like a West versus communism kind of thing. I think,
Okay.
hence the Red Alert title, which is a kind of a hilarious title. But yeah, I remember Red Alert it's a great RTS game, and there was this one thing you could do. It was sort of sci-fi where you could put like sonar on dolphins, so you have dolphin units, and you can send them
Holy shit.
after. Yeah, you can send them after your enemy in the water, and they'll like confuse their watercraft. Yeah, it's a wild game. So Red Alert is great.
I was thinking of Red Faction. I was
Red
thinking of Red
Faction. Okay.
Faction. It's a
Yeah,
shooter
yeah,
on
yeah.
Mars. The red threw me
Yeah.
off. But yeah, go on.
It's Command and Conquer, obviously classic PC strategy
Mhm.
series. They made a couple of games that were really sci-fi, Tiberian Wars and Tiberian Sun, which are great games. I remember playing those a
Okay.
lot. Yeah, they've kind of flown under the radar now that they're 20 plus years old, but those
Right.
were great games as well. A lot of RTS on the PC growing up, and then Warcraft, of course, and then eventually
Mhm.
leading into World of Warcraft, which
Right.
dominated my teenage years. Played, I think I've got on all my characters, I've got well over 10,000 hours logged in
Nicely
World of Warcraft.
done.
And you can track that all. You type in /played, and it'll tell you exactly how many hours you've been online. So tons of World of Warcraft. Um, then yeah, so I feel like we're motoring on too quickly here. Do you
That's all
is
good.
there
So hold on. Yeah,
okay,
I was okay. So I was gonna ask a question. So we're up
sure.
to like, World of Warcraft era, which is like the mid 2000s. Were you ever were you ever big on handhelds? Like were like, you've kind of gone through those systems and it sounds like you were very much a Nintendo kid. Did you mess with any of the Game Boys? Like did you foray into that handheld realm?
I did, yeah. So I had the original Game Boy, the big fat
Nice.
honking one.
Big chunky
Um,
boy.
Big chunky boy, the big thick boy. I remember
Yeah.
playing a lot of Tetris, a lot of the first Super Mario on the Game Boy, which I can't. The name is escaping me right now. Super Mario Land, I think it was called.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
it's really strange. Even at the time, I remember thinking this is not like other Mario games. It's really it seems like they were really held back by the limitations of the Game Boy at the time.
Hmm.
But I remember playing a lot of that, and then of course Game Boy Color, a lot of Zelda, Link's Awakening, um, and Game Boy Advance. I spent a lot of time playing the Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
I had the sideways one, and I had the SP. The SP to this day, one of the best pieces of tech I think Nintendo ever came out with.
Game
Um,
changer, dude.
Absolutely,
I remember playing on the Advance and I bought I bought one of those friggin' like magnifying light kit
yeah,
sets that you remember that cuz like that was the era of like accessories and third party everything, right? You don't
absolutely,
see that as much anymore, but like yeah, I had like the magnifying glass and like a little pop-up light reader that you would throw up so you could see the screen. There
yeah,
was no backlight at the time. So
yeah.
when the SP came out and it was like backlight, everybody was like, what do you mean I can see in the dark?
Oh
Now
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna get busted playing in the middle of the night because like I'm not supposed to be, but I can at least see it now.
100%. And I love these new TikTok memes that are like, the Alpha Giga Chad Game Boy, and they put all the accessories on it, the speakers, the game changer with the 3 games you could switch between, and the magnifying glass, and the it's crazy the amount of stuff they had for that
I'll
system.
I'll never forget my so I went to a private school for like the first couple years of my schooling existence, and I think it was in like grade 1 or grade 2, but my buddy came to school with the Game Boy and the Game Boy camera. And like we
Oh,
kept like running
yeah.
around taking pictures of each other and of stuff. And I
Mhm.
remember there's this one girl who like she wanted to play tag or something, and we're like, no, we're playing with this Game Boy camera. Like we're like, you can play with us, but like we're playing with the Game Boy camera. And I just
Yeah.
remember her getting so mad that she like told her parents like called the school, and then Game Boys were outlawed in recess of going
Wow.
forward. And we remember everybody was just looking at her like,
What a
you
narc.
son of a yeah, what a narc. Seriously. You just like ran straight to the authorities and complained about our Game Boy camera.
Oh my
Jeez, never
gosh.
forgave her for that. Molly, if you're listening, I hate you.
The Game Boy camera, what a that is a unique peripheral. And
Weird.
there was some artist, is it Neil Young? I want to say, some artist made their album cover from a Game Boy camera picture. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Now Google it
I'll fact
and
check this, yeah.
yeah, yeah, what a strange time. And if you had, there was a printer that you could get as well, and you could hook it up and print your pictures that you took on it, which is
Yeah.
wild. It came out like a receipt machine at a supermarket. That's how it
Yes.
was printed
Right.
out. Yeah, oh,
You
outrageous.
you nailed it, by the way. It is Neil Young.
Nice,
That
nice.
that that, that had a his daughter evidently took a picture of him and then he used that for the album art. So yeah, you nailed that.
Yeah, nice. Man, if you had the Game Boy camera going up, that was ballin' at the time.
Right? Yeah, you were like the cool kid. Like your uncle like worked at Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like you could have
Yeah,
told me that anything out of the but yeah, Mew lives under that truck in Pokemon Red, and everybody was like, "How do I move this truck?" Because I just remember that being like the thing. But okay,
yeah.
nice. Okay, so you had a bunch of accessories. You got to the SP. Loved that
Yeah,
device.
and again, the SP, the one thing that I specifically, this is a core memory again. I remember opening it up and looking at the back because the light went red, and I was like, "Oh,
Huh.
I can't keep playing Golden Sun. I have to
Yes,
change
Golden
the."
Sun.
It's
Yes.
so good, eh? I have to change the battery, and I'm like, "I the screwdriver? Why can't I open this thing?" And I look in the box and I'm like, "Oh, you have to charge it?"
Yeah.
And this was a time when like that was a non-existent with gaming
Nope.
stuff, right?
Nope.
Everything had batteries. That was the age of batteries, right? You
Mhm.
always had to get these damn batteries. And the fact that the battery was in the device and you could charge it, that was wow, what a spectacular piece of tech. Oh, really?
What color was your SP? Because again, this was the time where like everything had like 100 different colors.
Yeah. Mine was blue. I had the blue one.
Nice. I
Yeah.
had the gold one. I remember getting like some like special edition. I think it was when Pokemon.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't know because SP would have been no. So the Pokemon Gold came out back. Yeah, I think it was like some special edition for something. But I remember getting like a gold SP. My
Yeah.
brothers then had a blue one and a red one because that was the thing. My parents tried to have us all share one, and that
Yeah.
did not fucking
Yeah.
last any time at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, totally. I remember the name for the I always wanted the red one. It was a Onyx Red, I think it was called.
Yes, they had the
And
coolest names.
totally, yeah. And I've got an SP here on my table. I picked one up for my girlfriend to play Golden Sun among other games. That game is spectacular. What a deep RPG. Great graphics
Hmm.
too on that one. Yeah.
So
Um
good.
spectacular. Um Game Boy Advance, I remember playing a lot of man, the Super Mario ports uh on the Game Boy Advance were so good. Played those
Hmm.
a ton. Super Mario 2, the one that we got here in the West, is one of my favorite games of all time. I know it's such a strange entry
So
in the
weird.
series. And it was just a reskin of some other game. I think it was called Doki Doki Panic, and they reskinned it to be Mario characters. But spectacular game, really. I keep saying spectacular, but I guess I have good gaming memories of everything I
Yeah.
remember is spectacular. Yeah, loved that game. So yeah, yes, in short, but in long, I did play a lot of handheld games. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So then we get to World of Warcraft. You sink like an immeasurable amount. Well, I mean, I guess
Yeah,
it is measurable because you could say you could type slash play and you'll get your elders, but a long time in World of
yeah.
Warcraft. And then we're starting to get in like the early 2010s at that point, right? So where did you go? Because what happened there?
Okay, yeah. So in World of War high school, right, high school years, World of Warcraft dominated my life. I
Mhm.
ended up getting an Xbox 360. That was my first
Nice.
next gen console, they say at the
Right.
time, right? And online gaming really came to consoles in a big way. You know, it was started there with Xbox Live on the original Xbox, but
Mhm.
Xbox 360 was most people's introduction to online gaming on a console. So I remember playing a lot of Halo 3. That's when I got into Call of Duty. Call of Duty 4, still one of my favorite games of all time, one of the best multiplayer experiences of the time. Spectacular game. Yeah, so that leads us to 2010, 2011. Started getting into PC gaming, but with other games. That's when PC gaming and Steam in particular
Yes,
opened
dude.
up their store to include other games. Because at first, Steam was just a service for playing online Counter Strike and other Valve games.
Yep.
Um, then they opened up the store and sort of opened the floodgates, as it were, for these other developers' games, and started getting into YouTube. YouTube gaming content was really on the rise at this time. Gaming commentary, let's plays, gaming reviews. So yeah, over time, I built my first real gaming PC in 2013.
Nice.
Which was it was really beefy at the time, and I've still got it actually almost 10 years later. It still runs great. Um,
Wow.
so if you build it and take care of it, a PC is a really good investment. And that's when I got into indie gaming and just buying tons and tons of games. So growing my Steam library. It was the YouTubers I was watching that really influenced my game purchasing decisions.
Mhm.
Total Biscuit is and still is one of my
Yes.
favorite YouTube commentary people. Rest in peace, Total Biscuit.
Mhm.
When I was doing Lose reviews, is when he started getting really sick, and that was a huge bummer. Still, what a tragedy that he passed away so young.
Mhm.
Go get checked. Always get a checkup, get a physical, get that test, and make sure that you're all good. Catch it early, and avoid that mess, because I'm sure he wished that he did, and he always advocated for that. So yeah, rest in peace, Total Biscuit, one of my gaming heroes for sure. He actually started doing on World of Warcraft on
Oh,
a
no way.
podcast network before podcast was even a thing. It was called Warcraft Radio, WC Radio, and he did a show called Blue Please, and I listened to it every week. Spectacular show he put on, and then he moved on to YouTube and became an indie game or game review or game critic sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, tons of games on Steam, and I've got so many favorites. I think my game count on Steam is over 450 at this point.
Dang.
Lots that I still need to play. Right, picking up on the Humble Bundle. If you remember the Humble Bundle,
Yes.
it used to be so good, and lately I feel like the game, the the sort of games that they have aren't as show stopping as they used to be. They used to have these publisher sales. Same with Steam. Excuse me, the Steam sales used to be, I feel like they used to be much more, and you'd get these great publisher sales. So, like
Mhm.
the THQ sale and all
Oh
the
my
THQ
god, yeah.
games you could get in a bundle for super cheap. And Steam sales are still great, especially for indie games. But I feel like the little bit of the magic has been lost. But it's still the number one place to get your games, in my
Yep.
opinion. So, yeah, tons of great Steam games. Just to name a few, we've got the super giant games. Some of my favorite games of all
Yes.
time: Bastion, Transistor. Transistor is my personal favorite.
Mine too.
It came to me at a special time, and it's not the longest game out there, but it's just a spectacular game. Some of the best music in any game I've ever played. Um, uh, Battle Chef Brigade, which I did a review on my on when I was doing Lose reviews. I did a review on it, and one of the best under the radar indie games. It's Have you ever heard of that game? Ever?
The name is like triggering something in my memory, but I don't know if I ever played it. It's like a match, not a match 3, but like a
So it's part match three puzzle and part action platformer. And what you do is you're in a kitchen and it's Iron Chef battles with you against another chef, but all of your ingredients come from enemies that you have to kill in the overworld. So you go out
interesting.
into the overworld, you fight an action platform your way to these ingredients that the monsters drop, and then you go
Mhm.
back in the kitchen and you cook up these dishes by match three puzzle, and you make dishes, and judges judge you based on their flavor preferences. It's a really really cool game. I got to say,
So cool.
one of the most innovative games I played in a long time. So Battle Chef Brigade, it's on the Switch. Spectacular game. It's on Steam too, of course. So get that, pick that up if you haven't played it yet. Really, really good game. Um, Vanquish is a game that was on consoles, but they
Yes.
made a PC port which runs great, and it's a very unique game. Uh, it was made by Platinum Games, I believe.
I think
Um,
you're right.
Platinum Games, which is a great game developer from Japan. And Vanquish is a third person shooter that is, you could play through it in one day, in just a few hours. It's not a long game, but it's got such a high skill ceiling, and the movement is wild. You can slide and rocket boost and do all this crazy movement abilities. And it's sort of a high score game. They encourage you to build up your multiplier and build up your weapons, and yeah, it's a really really cool game. So Vanquish is definitely up
Nice.
there. Um, uh, there's this oh geez, I'm forgetting the name of it now. Um, yeah, it's fuck, I can't remember it now. I'm hitting myself now that I didn't write it down. But some other cool games, Cloud Built, which is a speed running game. So it's a very obscure game. I think Total Biscuit did a video on it, but it's essentially a speed running game. So you can wall run and rocket jump and all this, and basically the goal is to get from the beginning to the end of the course as quickly as possible. Great little indie game that definitely flies under the radar. Um, I could go on and on, but yeah, Steam, and that's where I am today. So
Mhm.
I'm still playing tons of Steam games. Um, love it, man. Yeah, I mean, gaming's everything. It's and I still argue this. Instead of sitting down and watching something, nothing wrong with watching something, and I love
Mhm.
watching stuff with my girlfriend, but um, playing a game really tickles your problem solving ability. It tickles your logical processes more than just sitting down and passively watching something. So
Yep.
and I think it's good for your brain. And I think studies are going to come out years from now that are going to say, yeah, gaming, as far as something that you can do when you're not socializing, you're not exercising, you're not doing
Mhm.
school or work, gaming is good for your brain. I really believe that. And gaming is life. Gaming is life. Absolutely.
Gaming is life. Gaming is life. What a perfect way to end that. No, I appreciate a window into your history, Lou, because there's so many, like, even just reminiscing about the SP and, like, stuff like that. It's so nice to kind of kick back and realize what brought us here, because gaming is awesome and gaming is life. And I think you're right. Like, there's such, gaming is such more of like a tactile experience. Like, there's so much, like, you connect with characters, you lose yourself in them sometimes, and it's just like it
Yeah,
can be a total outlet, as in the most wonderful way. Um, but
absolutely.
yeah, thanks, dude. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I
Yeah,
enjoyed that a
my
lot.
pleasure. Yeah,
All right,
absolutely, man.
let's dive into some news because we have a whole whack of it. We're going to start with all new PlayStation Plus. Targeted release dates have been revealed. So we heard about the new PlayStation Plus about a month ago now, and we knew that it was coming in June, but that was pretty much all that we knew, along with the pricing for US. But now we have some more details. We now know that it is coming to Asia markets, excluding Japan, on May 23rd. It will launch in Japan on June 1st, the Americas on June 13th, and then finally Europe on June 22nd. That is coming from IGN, written by Mr. Adam Bankhurst. But we also, coming from PlayStation Canada directly, now have Canadian pricing. So to remind everyone, we have three tiers. We have Essential, Extra, Premium. Essential is just basically what PlayStation Plus is now. 1 month for $11.99, 3 months for $29.99, 12 months for $69.99. Extra is the kind of middle tier where it's going to be 1 month for $17.99, 3 months for $49.99, 12 months for $114.99. Extra is what starts to add in some of that. I think it adds in like the PS4 and PS5 games, which you'll be able to kind of download and
Nice.
stream. So a
Mhm.
bit of backwards compatibility. And premium is the highest tier that you can jump in at. 1 month for $21.99, 3 months for $59.99, 12 months for $139.99 Canadian. In comparison, I think a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is something around like 170, 180. So it is a little
Yeah.
bit cheaper than that service. But again, that's the one that adds in like the full backwards compatibility library with the PS1, PS2, stream only PS3 and PS4 and PS5 games. So a lot of if you have PlayStation Now, because that service is being taken out back and kind of rolled into PlayStation Plus, you'll be brought in at the premium tier. If you have PlayStation Plus, just base PlayStation Plus, you'll get rolled into Essential tier. The one big question that I still have with this service is
Mhm.
an upgrade path, right? Like a lot of people, and it's very common for people who buy PlayStation Plus to grab like 2 or 3 years at a time in sales and then just basically front load their subscription because it'll then
Yeah.
like I think I have PlayStation Plus until like 2025 or 2026 because I grab it when it's on sale and it's just like I know I'm staying in this ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I caught PlayStation Now on sale about a couple weeks ago after this was announced, and I bought it just for a year because I'm curious. Like, if you have PlayStation Plus, are you going to be able to just pay the difference essentially instead of paying, for the full thing? But we know it's coming. It's coming in June. I'm excited about this. I'm curious to, have access to it and to kind of, build on this a little bit. We're going to add in a second story because we're starting to see some games being approved, which seemingly will be for the service. Coming from David Matthews over at IGN, four Siphon Filter games rated for PS5 and PS4 in Korea ahead of all new PlayStation Plus launch. Spotted by Gamatsu, the Game Rating and Administration Committee of Korea, issued ratings to four Siphon Filter games for both the PS4 and PS5. These include the original Siphon Filter 2, Siphon Filter Dark Mirror, and Siphon Filter Logan's Shadow.
Mm. I
Um, so
love Dark
seemingly,
Mirror.
so I see. I've never played any of these Siphon Filter games, so I'm really curious to kind of have an opportunity to hop in. All right, so Lou, I know you're not a massive PlayStation gamer, but it does look like they're trying to expand more into into the the PC ecosystem. PlayStation Now is available on PC, and seemingly, this new service is going to live on PC as well. Like, are you interested at all in hopping into this kind of all new PlayStation Plus on PC when it launches?
100%. Especially if it can take advantage of the PC hardware, stuff like 120 hertz refresh. If the porting games is such a big thing. Like some companies just specifically port games.
Yep.
So if the ports are good and it's there, absolutely, I would love to play MLB The Show on my computer,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be God of War. I mean, sorry, that's already on the PC,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, my bad.
No, it's all
Yeah,
good.
no, lots of exclusives that I would love to play on PC. Yeah, 100%, I would dive in.
Yeah, I hope that because that's one of the big questions that we still don't know, like that we still don't have answered is like how much are they actually doing to these old games? Like, is it just a port? Are we going to get higher frame rates? Are we going to get up some sort of like a bit of an enhancement like Xbox does with their old library? But we shall see. That service is coming June 13th, so get excited. Speaking of things that are apparently still coming this year, coming once again from IGN. Give me just a second to pull this back up. Written by Ryan Dinsdale, God of War Ragnarok dev reassures fans that it will arrive this year. God of War Ragnarok developer has reassured fans that it will definitely be released this year. To celebrate the last God of War game's 4-year anniversary, director Cory Barlog released a video saying, "I wish we could share more Ragnarok footage with you, but it's just not ready to be shown." That led to some concern among fans that the game would see another delay. But after a fan on Twitter asked Sony Santa Monica animation director Bruno Velasquez, I apologize if I butchered your last name, he simply said, Ragnarok is coming this year. I think this is full of shit, dude. I don't know. I don't believe that this game is coming out this year. I would happily be proven wrong because obviously I want to play Ragnarok as soon as possible. But like we've only ever seen a little bit of it. Like we got like one trailer from it last year. We've heard no news. Like the 2022 has been taken off all of its like like all of its branding and merchandising and like it's kind of the splash pages on the storefronts.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Do you think God of War Ragnarok is still coming out in 2022?
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no because I suspect there's going to be a delay, but
Mm-hmm.
for good reason. I think that
Yep.
with a series like God of War, with a development house like they have, a delay is the right thing to do. And in most cases, I mean, so many games are releasing unfinished these days.
Mm-hmm.
Day one patches, day one DLC. I just feel like, um, to get it right, which the God of War series has always gotten it right. I would not be surprised whatsoever. In fact, I'm expecting to see a delay, and I think, and rightly so, if it's not done, then delay it. I think that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, like I am 100% with you. Like I would like this game. There's so many expectations and hopes riding on this that it has to come out of the gate like near flawless.
Yeah.
So like if it's ready, fantastic, give it to us. But like if it's not, take your time. Development in the pandemic has been awful for a lot of developers, as we've seen, and there's so many stories about, and how
Oh
many
yeah.
delays have there been. So if it's ready, fantastic. But like don't rush it to get it there. And Sony doesn't usually do that, so I'm hoping that they're going to take their time with it. Um,
Mhm.
but let's jump to another couple stories because there's for the first time in a long time we have a game launching way earlier than it was supposed to. Coming from
Hmm.
George Yang, written on IGN, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to launch in July, months earlier than originally announced. Nintendo and Monolith Soft have announced that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will launch on July 29th for Nintendo Switch. The game was previously set for a September release date, but it has actually been pushed forward. So I'm sure Darren is hooting and hollering. This is one of his favorite series of all time.
Yeah.
I tried to get into the second one. I played like 20 or 25 hours of it, and I eventually just fell off. Like the combat was just not really for me, but I
Mm.
don't know. This one looks cool. The trailer looks interesting. Like I may be more inclined to give this one a shot. Lou, I can't remember. Do you have a Switch?
I do. I do have a Switch.
Okay,
Yep.
nice. So is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 doing anything for you? Are you excited about it?
I played Xenoblade on the 3DS, and
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not sure if I'm ready to dive into such a rich RPG like that because it really
Yeah.
demands a lot of you as a player. You got to be in the right moment, in the right
Yep.
headspace to dive into that kind of game. So we'll see if it comes at the right time, and I've nothing else on my horizon or my radar, then I might just dive in. But right now, it's iffy for me.
It's a maybe. It's a wait and see how the
Yeah,
reviews are, see if the hype sucks you in. I'm
yeah,
I'm a sucker for hype. I'm telling myself that I'm not going to buy this, and then like 3 days before, if it's reviewing super well, I'm going to be like, well, I guess that's happening. But to stay with Nintendo here for a second, we're going to hop over to Splatoon 3 gets a September release date. Coming September 9th. This is written by Joe Screbbles over at IGN. Splatoon 3 will be released on September 9th, and we've gotten a new trailer showing off a full round's worth of gameplay. Nintendo also revealed that as of today, the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion DLC will be available as a free download to Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass subscribers. So there was a lot of speculation that Xenoblade got pushed up because of Splatoon, and literally
mm,
like I think 24 or 48 hours, we got confirmation that Splatoon 3 is hitting in September. It's wild, dude. I always forget how ridiculously popular this franchise is, especially in
yeah.
Japan. Like the Japanese tweet had like 143,000 likes, like just something
Wow.
astronomical. Like this is
Yeah.
really is like one of Nintendo's biggest and best performing franchises.
Hmm.
Darren always got mad at me for Splatoon because I bought the second game when it came out and I never played the first. And like I was obsessed with it for like a week and I kept being like,
Yeah.
Darren, buy it, Darren, buy it, Darren. And then he bought it. And then we played together once and then I put it down and he ended up playing it for like many, many hours after that. But
Yeah.
again, I don't know. I'm curious about Splatoon 3. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to pull me back in. But Lou, what about
Mhm.
you? Doing anything for you?
Yeah, I love Splatoon. I
Okay.
remember I bought the Switch in 2017 when it was really hard to find, and bought Splatoon with it. I had a broken ankle, so was a captive
Dang.
audience, and I was full into Splatoon. I was looking fresh and everything, and had my outfit all picked out
Yes.
and all that. And yeah, I would. It's great that they're coming out with a third entry into the series. Over 5 years later than the last entry, which is great.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Absolutely.
I'm super curious to see more from it. Like and it's awesome that they're rolling in the old DLC into the expansion pass because like I'm
Yeah,
glad that they're making more use of that thing. Personally, I'm not going to touch it again, but like I mean, again, maybe for 3, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah,
Another game. This was a week full of announcements, but this is the one that has me the most excited, dude. I am so insanely excited for this game coming from
let's hear it.
IGN, written by Ryan Dinsdale. Digimon Survive finally gets a release date coming in July. Digimon Survive finally has a release date with the new strategy RPG confirmed to be launching on PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC this summer on July 29th. Published by Bandai Namco, Survive breaks the formula of previous Digimon games by blending the visual novel and turn-based strategy RPG genres. So, like, if anybody's been listening, like this got announced a couple years ago. It kept getting delayed over and over again. But like this looks like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and like Digimon had like a baby together. The
Yeah,
animation style is beautiful. Like the VNs look awesome. The combat looks so cool. And like I'm just so incredibly excited. We got word that it was coming out on July 28th in Japan. And like I don't know, dude. Growing up a JRPG fan, like we always got games 6 months, a year, 2, or even
Mm.
3 years after it came out in Japan. But like we're very much in the world of day and date releases, and I was hoping that Digimon Survive would be, and it is. It's one of my most anticipated games this year. I can't wait. I can't friggin' wait. Lou, were you a Digimon kid growing up? Like, does this do it anything for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was enthralled with Digimon growing up. It was definitely a moment when everyone at school was into Digimon, the show,
Hmm.
and the cards. We were into the cards
Yep.
as well, and I did play a considerable amount of Digimon World growing up as well.
Nice.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to check this one out.
Yeah, I love the mashup. I love VNs. Like I love a good visual novel. I love Digimon, and this kind of all coming together. Like I'm so happy it's imminent. It's so soon.
Mm.
Digimon, sorry, JRPG fans are going to be eating up that week because we get like Live Alive the week before, and then now, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Digimon Survivor coming out in the same day. So it's going to be a
Wow.
summer full of JRPGs, and
Yeah.
I'm all about it. Um, let's touch on one more new announcement before we hop into just one meteor story. Sonic Origins was announced. This is coming from IGN over at Ryan's Dindale, written by Ryan Dinsdale, excuse me. We found out that it's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Series, Nintendo Switch, and PC on June 23rd. This, of course, is a collection of Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles and CD. So
Wow.
the announcement got people excited. There's a bunch of it was accompanied by like a really slick animated looking trailer that just looked really cool, and people got really hyped.
Hmm.
And then good old business came into the picture, and like the friggin' DLC, dude, like the different editions for this game is just baffling. Like they released like a whole friggin' chart to just detail what you get
Oh
and don't get in
no.
certain editions of the game. So the
Yeah.
standard edition comes with just the main game. The standard the start dash pack, this is free DLC that comes with the pre-order of the standard or the digital deluxe edition, and that earns you 100 bonus coins, mirror mode, and a letterbox background. Then there's the premium fun pack, which you have to add on for like hard missions, a background, character animation in the main menu, camera controls over main menu islands, character animations during music islands.
Come
Okay.
on.
Then there's the classic music pack, which adds additional music tracks from the Mega Drive and Genesis titles. Then there's the digital deluxe edition, which essentially rolls all of this together without seemingly mirror mode on. No, this does come with the mirror mode unlocked. Yeah, so the digital deluxe edition pulls all of this together. So it's just they took this. I think this is the most baffling thing I've
Yeah.
ever seen, dude, with camera controls over the main menu islands being a fucking pre-order
What
benefit
the
for the
heck?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. It
What
sounds
the hell?
important though. It
Right?
sounds important, yeah.
So it's
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
so many people were so excited, and like the collection sounds cool, but just like like this is one of those times where even like you mentioning like stuff like day one DLC packs and stuff, like they just kind of really stepped in it in this
Mhm.
game
Yeah.
completely unnecessarily. It feels like.
Totally. Yeah, that's wild. Jeez. I feel like you need a manual just to figure out what you're getting with your edition. And if the classic music, okay, if you buy a Sonic game, especially like when they're the original few games, and there's no Green Hill Zone song, we riot. That's the end.
Right? It's just ridiculous. Like what a weird way to piecemeal DLC and to like have all these like additional packs, and like it's just so stupid. Like
Yeah,
to anybody excited for that game, like I hope you're going to enjoy it because like but just what a weird way. What a weird way to do DLC.
totally. Yeah.
And for one last story before we close out, because this one is another odd one, coming from IGN, written by Logan Plant, PlayStation wants ads in its games too. After last week's report that Xbox is looking to include more advertisements in free to play games, it seems PlayStation is also testing the waters for its own advertisement program. According to Advertising Insider, Sony wants to encourage developers to create free to play games by adding this new way to monetize them beyond microtransactions and battle passes. Similar to what we know about Xbox's program, the goal for Sony is to use the ads that fit in with the rest of the game, like putting real life ads on billboards in virtual sports stadiums. Sony is also looking into rewarding players for watching ads and promotions within in-game items, including avatars and skins. It's looking like Xbox is planning to launch their program in the third quarter of 2022, with Sony following suit sometime by the end of this year. So this is a story that lit the internet on fire a little bit. People got very very upset. Um, I don't know, dude. But before I kind of speak on this, what do you think about PlayStation and Microsoft kind of putting ads in their free to play games?
Yeah, yeah, it's tough because
Right?
there could be some benefits to it.
Mm-hmm.
If we get good free to play games, I mean, there's lots of great free to play games
Mm-hmm.
that do suffer from some bloated mechanics because they have to keep you on a treadmill. But if the game experience itself is enjoyable and it's free, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure how I feel about this one. You know, I work in advertisement as a day job,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it's funny. One of my clients was telling me, why don't they just make basketball games, NBA games, 5 minutes long? Because it always comes down to the last 5 minutes anyway. And I'm
Okay.
thinking, you're missing the point. The whole point is so that they can shove lots of everything is advertised, everything is sponsored. Oh, here's your halftime break, sponsored by yada yada. Here's your first quarter stat. Look up, sponsored by
Right?
you know who. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it doesn't surprise me that you mentioned specifically sports games. I can 100% see that. um, that makes sense, but I call this kind of advertising advertising encroachment, because you're encroaching on places where ads didn't exist previously.
I see.
And
Okay.
I feel like that's always a difficult thing to difficult, road to go down. So the implementation is going to be everything here. On
Mm-hmm.
paper, I think most people are going to be turned off by that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't give us a choice, people are still going to play the games.
Yep.
So yeah, it's tough. That's a tough question.
See, that's what like so I like at face value, I don't inherently have a problem with this. If the game is free to play, if I'm already not paying to play your game, then you having to make money off of it, it still makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I would rather have something like this than something like a battle pass, or rather than something like, heavy microtransactions, right?
Hmm.
The areas that I start to get a little bit nervous with it because like you said, is this kind of the first step into something a bit more sinister, because like if we start getting game ads in like fully fledged fully paid games, that's when it starts getting really crappy. And
Yeah.
again, like even like the slippery slope of like what advertisements do you let in where, depending on the audience that's playing your game, right?
Yeah.
A lot of free to play games are played by a lot of kids because
Yes.
they're easily accessible. You can just download the thing and play it. And like marketing in that respect starts to get a little hairy for me. Like I
Totally.
like so like for me, I think you're 100% right when you say it's all about how they implement this. At face value, I have no problem with this. I'm already not paying for the game. If I can get a cool skin by watching a 30-second advertisement of watching a 2-minute video instead of me paying 5, 10, $15 for it, I'd rather do that. I'll do that, no problem. I'll do that all day. It's when like you get this combined with this, like the kind of skeptic in me says they're going to get the advertisements on top of the battle passes, on top of the monetizations, because I don't
Yeah.
really see them going one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, like I'm very, very curious as to how this is going to fall out. Because, like you said, sports games, easy sell. Racing games, easy sell.
Yeah.
Even if you want to go into shooter territory, and if you're playing in like a city and you have some, advertisements going off while you're running around and shooting each other, again, those kinds of implementations make sense to me. I'm just really curious to see how this is going to fall out and how it's going to be implemented, because like we've seen very quickly how loud the gaming population will be if they don't like something. Like those online
Totally.
passes, remember when those were a thing in the early 2010s, where like when you
Yep.
bought a game, you had to like pay for the online pass if you bought it
Yeah.
used. And like
100%.
now
Yeah.
and now uh with battle passes and with different ways to kind of, like the costumes and so on and so forth, like it can be egregious how much some of these things cost. So I don't know, dude. I feel like this is one of those things that's either going to go well, or that we're not even going to be talking about it a year from now.
I think the best way forward is if it's implemented and it's basically unnoticeable. If it's
Mhm.
like a good waiter, you know how they say a good waiter is one you don't notice.
Yeah.
Then if it's seamless like that, I think that's good. You make a very good point about advertising to children. especially if like the game is not really intended for children and
Hmm.
maybe it's a shooter, but lots of kids play it anyway.
Yep.
You're going to get into some hairy stuff, I think. And I don't see them removing microtransactions because that's an element where they've already got their hand in your pocket.
Yep.
And once it's there, they're not going to take that out. I think it's going to be there on top of the ads. Yeah, implementation here is going to be everything for sure.
Yeah, super, super curious how this is going to come together. Which I mean, we'll continue to cover the story as we learn more. It is supposedly coming both to Microsoft and PlayStation, both to Xbox and PlayStation this year. Um, you know what, the thing that I'm most worried about, dude, is like Nintendo always seems to do whatever the fuck they want. Like they pay
Yeah.
no attention to the rest of the industry. I'm really curious to see if they would follow suit here
Mm.
because they always seem to be a little bit behind and sideways almost like they almost run parallel. So like with PlayStation and Microsoft seemingly in step, like I think it's going to be really curious to see how those two companies do it, not versus one another, but like in relation to one another, and then how Nintendo could possibly fit into this whole ecosystem because I think you're right. Like they're just going to be looking for more ways to get that second hand in our pockets, and I'm curious to see how that's going to go down.
Totally. I always view Nintendo as like the Apple of the gaming world. They've got their own really
Yes.
cohesive brand. They make their own hardware. And I'm very curious to see like in they have those mock ads in like Super Mario Kart, right? Or Mario Kart 8, for
Yeah.
instance,
Yeah. Yeah.
where they've got like, Bowser motor oil or something. I don't think that's one of them,
Yes.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I would be very surprised if Nintendo followed suit.
I just don't know if they will now. I could see them doing it in like 3 years because that's just the way that
Mm,
they operate. Like they're gonna
yeah.
watch to see how they do it and then do something else. But we'll see. That Bryce friend brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for talking to us all about your gaming history and rocking with me on a whole bunch of news. But before we go, where can people find more of you, Lou?
Instagram.com/mad seedling at mad seedling on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Check it out.
Hell yeah. And you can find me over on Twitter at burnout_Matt. And I also co-host the PlayStation Drive every week over at Carpool Gaming. It used to be Yumi Capri. It is now Carpool Gaming. They've announced their whole rebrand and everything looks spick and clean over there. So make sure you go take a look at that. Everyone, make sure you like, subscribe, and do all the things here. We'll be back next week and we will see you on the next one. Peace out. And then Game Boys were outlawed in recessive going
Wow.
forward.